Very happy to have with us Jeff Mann, the South Jersey, Philadelphia-based drummer. Jeff is the drummer for the iconic band Consider the Source. Consider the Source is a progressive rock psychedelic instrumental band. A band quite not like anything else you've ever seen before. So Jeff, thanks for coming on today.
My pleasure. Great to be here with you, Abe.
Jeff, we've known each other for a long time, so we're going to dive deep today.
Yeah.
We've played music together, but we're gonna talk about some other things. So I'm ready to go. Well, I wanted to know because you've been obviously passionate about music since you were a kid, and decided to major in music and make a career out of it. When did you actually decide? You know what? This is what I'm gonna do. I'm serious about it now. I'm gonna go pursue it in college. Do you have a specific moment when you were in high school or middle school? Let's say.
Yeah, it wasn't like a specific moment, but definitely around that middle school, high school age, I was starting to shift my main focuses all towards music and being like, I think this is what like the thing I really want to do. Um yeah, I used to be like into sports and some other things and all this sort of stuff kind of like fell by the wayside. And I was just like, love practicing, love playing music, and probably around high school age, I was like, this is what I want to do. Just want to play, do whatever I can to play as much drums as I can.
So you were actually at that point it was a conscious thing going on where you're like, I see myself doing this as a career.
Definitely, and I didn't really understand at that time what like a career musician meant, um, necessarily because there's so many things that could be. You know what I mean? Um, but I just kind of felt that I didn't really want to dedicate, huge amounts of chunks of my time towards anything else.
No, I mean it sounds like you're self-aware, and to be like that when you're younger, I mean it's usually people go to college and then their career, turns upside down, but it sounds like you were really in tune with it from a young age. And you know, you've been in this band for quite some time, and I know that the music you play with them, if would I be safe to assume that the music you play with them is that if Jeff Mann could play anything, it would be this type of music?
Absolutely, yeah,
Yeah, so
100%.
it's like a hand in a glove with you in this band.
Yeah, and it's really fun because I love playing all sorts of music. I really do appreciate a lot of genres and love playing stuff. But I was kind of doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, playing with lots of different groups before joining Consider the Source, and I did feel like there was this void of like the thing that I loved the most was not really represented in all the musical projects I was doing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you're
Uh,
someone who could say they genuinely love what they do. There's professional musicians who go to their gig at playing in a wedding or a bar mitzvah. They're like, oh, I really don't want to be here right now, you know?
yeah, no, totally. I grew up listening to a lot of like progressive rock music and just kind of like progressive music and jazz and fusion and stuff that is improv. And I always loved like stuff that was kind of like odd time signatures and like, some kind of like not straight pop necessarily, pop sensibility kind of stuff. I do enjoy that too, but the stuff that got me most excited was the stuff that kind of pushed the musical boundaries a little bit.
No, you
Um,
definitely play stuff that push the musical boundaries. Now when you talk about odd time signatures and grooves
mhm.
like that. Now, when you're like first getting into it, is it like, oh, I just need to figure it out type of thing, like, or I just want to get there?
Yeah, totally. Um, you know, Certain time signatures or like feels of things are more comfortable than others. But yeah, when something's brand new, I definitely try and just like figure out the skeleton of it and figure out the basics and then dress it up little by little, you know?
When you're playing in 4/4 or 3/4, you can kind of, play, on top of the groove or, into the next measure, so to speak. But are you at the point now where you can comfortably do that with these like 5/4 and 7/4 words? Oh, like does 7/4 feel as comfortable as 4/4 does?
Definitely not, but I'm getting there. Yeah,
No,
no, it's such a cool thing, and there's as much as you can play in those time signatures as you can in 4/4. So most of the stuff I've played, I guess, in my life has probably been more straight ahead and 4/4 stuff. Um, and when I was younger, I was really, really excited about all this odd time kind of music and progressive stuff, and I worked on that a lot. And then there became a, a I forget how many years, but a stretch where the gigs I was getting were more like wedding band and singer songwriter and cover band things, and I was like, it doesn't really make sense for me to be shedding in 7 and 13 right now. So I focused on more things just like playing to a click and developing like a groove in a pocket and stuff. And then when I was able to join Consider the Source, it was like, okay, I can like jump back into all that stuff I used to get really excited about. That now it makes sense to practice that stuff, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you were to tell me, let's say when you were in your early 20s, like even then, you're like, oh, I'm going to do a wedding band tonight on Saturday, and I can't. I'm like, it's not. I just can't, it doesn't make sense to me because you're just so it doesn't make sense. But that being said, is being in the band like what you're most grateful for at this point in your career, or is it the places you've gotten to travel? What are you most grateful for? November 11th, 2024, 1:10 p.m.
Hmm. That's a great question. I'm definitely grateful for a lot of things. It's funny, like I think when things happen that like knock you off your axis and like shake things up for you, that's when you kind of realize a lot of things that you're grateful for. So like always first and foremost is like health and stuff like that. Um, I'm mostly healthy and stuff. I've had some like times where I've maybe like pulled my back or like strained my neck and certain things where like there's been periods where I haven't been able to play the drums for a little bit, and luckily it's never really lined up where it like messed up a gig or anything too much. But yeah, when you're like stuck in bed and like you can't move or stuff like that, you're like, oh my God, I can't. Like I'm so thankful for the times that my neck and back are just fine. I feel loose and healthy and stuff like that. So always thankful for that stuff. But yeah, Consider the Source is definitely like my musical home, and I'm really thankful that I found those guys. I've been playing with them a little over, I want to say, 13 years now. So we're definitely like family. We've been through a lot together, on and off the stage. And a funny thing is, we really are like a band. We work on a lot of projects together musically, and we have a business phone call every week with our manager, and we do a lot of driving and traveling together and stuff like that. So it's a funny thing, being in a band. I forget the saying, but it's like you perform for 90 minutes or an hour and a half, and then there's 22 and a half more hours in the day that you're not playing music and like kind of hanging out together, traveling together and stuff. So yeah, I'm really grateful to have those guys musically and just as friends in my life the way they are, you know.
Yeah, well, and I also wanted to ask you too because I know the band has been part of your life for 13 years, but before that, you're talking about all these other types of gigs you would do playing, whether it's jazz or playing with the singer-songwriter or something. You've toured the world, and just you're someone who is, been in so many situations. Now, this next question, might make you have to think for a second. I'm just curious. We've all been in these times where whether the manager or someone in the band that it's just like you just want to walk off the stage because you just can't take it. It's just like, has there ever been any times like that for you where you're just like, for whatever reason, like you're just like, I just got to get out of here.
Yeah, 100%. I've felt that way. I've never acted that way.
No,
But
name a specific time.
it's not like a specific one time that jumps out, but I just know there's been times where you just get worn down sometimes, or we've done some long tours that have been like 5 or 6 weeks long, and there's just moments in a month and a half where you're just cranky in a day, or you just you're not feeling it, in life in general. But touring can be really difficult, and I think one of the hardest parts of it is trying to come into like a rhythm. You know, you have like a regular life rhythm, and then being on the road throws all these wrenches in that. You know, sometimes just being out till 2 in the morning, night after night after night, and then having to drive long days or something like that. So there's just been times where maybe I've just been really like sleep deprived or just run down. And a tough thing, and we've talked about this as a band, is you know, we're really, really grateful to have every playing opportunity we have. And you always want to give your best. You always want to perform to the best of your ability. And it can be tough sometimes when you're, you know, feeling like a little sick, haven't slept well, kind of have a cold, whatever, you know what I mean, whatever it is, and you're like, I want to play the way I would if I felt 100%,
No,
you know.
I
And you
totally
and
get
you
it.
you try and dig deep, but I guess in just in some of those moments, you know, you just not necessarily that you wish like I could leave here, but more like I wish I was in my top playing condition. And you know, you perform your best, and maybe sometimes you surprise yourself in those instances where you're like pull out ideas you wouldn't normally because you know you're just in a different headspace or something. Um, but yeah, I think every musician who tours and stuff, they kind of just wish they could be like fully rested, like you know fully like good meal, good rest every day. And there's certain days that it does line up like that, but
But I don't think
yeah,
people even realize too that even if you're getting 8 hours sleep, sleeping in another in a different bed every night does something to your
yeah,
body.
absolutely. And sometimes too, like you might have an opportunity that you've been looking forward to for so long. um for instance, I'll share this one story, and it was a great experience. But we played a festival called the Peach Festival in I think it's in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
The
And it's a big like
Poconos.
yeah, and it's a big jam band festival. I think the Allman Brothers started it, and there's a bunch of stages, and we got to play on one of the side stages, and it was a really big set for us. And it was just the kind of thing where it's like in your mind, like you're looking forward to it for months and months and months, and it was really awesome and worth looking forward to. But things may not necessarily go the way you imagined or planned. It's just like
Why didn't they
you
go
know
that way at
the
that festival?
well, it's just maybe like a festival, like sometimes a lot of times you have a half hour between bands, so like a band will finish playing with their equipment on stage, and then quickly hustle everything off, and you're like watching the clock and be like, all right, we play in half an hour, like there's you know, all right, stuff's coming off the stage, we play in 25 minutes, stuff's coming off stage, and then it's like, all right, we got 18 minutes, and then you like set up your stuff as quickly as you can, almost get a sound check, and then you know you needed to grab some water, you didn't have time, or whatever it is, and it's just like sometimes you're not you know like centered in quite the way you imagine to be, and then like before you know it, it's like the show is starting, and you're like, oh, here we go, you know.
Yeah, I totally understand. And I also wanted to ask you, you've had many different teachers and you've come across so many people over the years, peers, different drummers, that sort of thing. What's the most valuable piece of advice someone's given you? Well, I mean, you could also have ignored it and done the exact opposite or something, but what's the most valuable piece of advice, would you say?
Honestly, I think I've heard it from a lot of people, but just that your biggest asset playing music is your ears, and always be listening. And sometimes I'll try and remind myself that if I ever get like stuck in my head, or I don't feel like I'm coming up with ideas, or I'm just overthinking what I'm playing in whatever way, I'll just kind of shut off my brain and like open up my ears and just start listening to everyone else playing. And actually, so I'll share for anyone who doesn't know. Me and Abe go way back. We went to high school together, and this is something our high school band director shared with us, Patrick Dalton. And I never forgot this, but he would say, because we would be playing in, I guess it would be like concert band or something. So you'd have like in the full band rehearsal, 60 or 70 people, I forget how many. And he would say, try and listen to everyone else more than yourself. So that was like a helpful like ear listening kind of piece of advice. But I'll do that sometimes, and often like the same way you have a like a mix on a record, like how you have a mix in your you know your levels of the bass and the drums and the stuff. I feel like you have like a mental mix of like how you hear stuff, and most people like the same way you always think everyone's like looking at how you look and judging you, and then you realize like everyone's thinking about that about themselves, and like everyone's worried about how they look. You probably think that about your playing too, so you're like worried about how you're playing and stuff like that. And in your like mental mix, you're probably hearing yourself more than everyone else. So I think you can kind of like to get out of your head, just kind of like tune that mix and be like, oh, let me like stop just hearing what I'm doing and listen to the other musicians. And I think when that happens, then my my playing becomes a little less like egotistic. You know what I mean? Like a little less ego centered and more like playing for the whole. You know, like things might still happen that surprise me, and I feel like you know positive about my own playing, but it's more in like the big picture kind of way.
Oddly enough, I know what you're talking about. The only way I could tune to that way you're talking about listening to everybody else and you're just a part of it is like if I keep my eyes open, but I don't look at the guitar, if I just look straight ahead or at the ceiling.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about?
yeah, and I have a habit of a lot of times playing with like my head down. So I for a while I got to do it again because it was helpful for sure. But I wrote eyes up, ears open on my snare drum head. So that when I caught myself looking down, it was just like a little reminder, like, oh, look up and listen. Like, don't get stuck just on like drums are right here. I'm drums, like looking at drums, playing drums. Like, there's other stuff happening. Be part of that, you know.
You're influenced by so much. You're talking, I think you mentioned Dream Theater before, but I also, you talk about concert band. Now, you've been doing this for like professionally, let's say 20 years estimate, right?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Where do that's a long time. Where do you draw inspiration from that's not related to music? Like that you wake up, you're like, I want to keep going. What inspires you?
Um, a lot of things inspire me. One thing that I try and do is exercise pretty regularly. I think like having a healthy body helps a healthy mind kind of thing, as like cheesy as that sounds. But the weather is really inspiring for me. Like today, it was just after being cold for a couple of days, it's like 70 degrees and sunny, and I was like, I'm going for a jog.
Does sunny
And
weather bring out the best, like your best playing, you think, like, or the
um,
summer?
winter too. It just I enjoy just like snowy a nice snowy day is great. Fall weather is great. Like I enjoyed lots of even the rainy day can be cool, but um just like nature and getting outside. But like yeah, today I know you said away from music, but I like it was really nice out, so I went for a jog and I put on some music to listen to that was like inspiring. But comedy is really inspiring to me. I listen to a lot of comedy. Um, I think musicians and comedians have a lot in common, and the improvisational element that comedians work on stage is in some ways similar to musicians. So there's a lot of inspiration in there. Um, yeah, traveling for sure, being with the band on the road, seeing different places. We've done a couple trips out of the country that were really inspiring, and um, had some like culture shock where I was just like, wow, this is like very different than the world I'm used to and the places I've been so far, and just kind of wakes you up to like the bigger parts of life and humanity and stuff.
Yeah,
But yeah,
no, that's great. I mean, it's funny you say that about the weather. These little things, like they make such a big difference in your music. And I also wanted to ask you too, because we do this as a career, music, the art. There's something spiritual in a sense or transcendental about it. At least that's what I feel. Playing the instrument gives us something we just can't get anywhere else, right?
hmm
If you would put that, do you agree with that?
absolutely, yeah. Um, yeah, it's really interesting. It's you have like a unique relationship with your instrument, and it's something that's entirely yours. And I think there's certain places the music can bring you spiritually, like you're saying, but I think also the pursuit of like improving yourself is like a spiritual has a spiritual element to it. Like my like people use the word like zen or like like my peaceful place or something, but for me, like when I'm just practicing, like working on exercises and like getting creative on the drums, and it's just me and the instrument, and I have the time to explore it and work on ideas and improve my skills, like that's a really great feeling that I have. And a thing I share with my students, and is something is something like it's a really great feeling to walk into like your drum room and not be able to do something, and then walk out and have the skill where you say, "Oh, I accomplished that. I couldn't do that, an hour ago, and now I can." Or I never did that before, and now I did. And with drumming, it's really cool because drumming's such a physical thing. Like you're literally moving your body in a certain way or certain combinations. So there's something to being like, if you never played something before, it means you never moved your body that way before. You never moved those limbs in that certain way before. And I just think it's a cool feeling, like unlocking all these ways you can control your body or make sounds with your body little by little, and improving your vocabulary. I think that's kind of like a spiritual endeavor of kind of like improving your expanding your spectrum of like expression.
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of think like we're limited to, what we say and our tone of voice and the words we use and the way we dress, and music is just that extra allows us to express.
Oh yeah, and the whole playing together thing, like I was just talking about by myself, but like playing music with people together, you know, it is a language and it is conversational. And there are moments where, you're improvising or you're playing music with a group, even a song you're playing with a group. There's been times where I've been playing with a band, and you just, four stick clicks, you count in the band and you're in, and you're just like, we sound so good. Like this sounds like 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 the bass is huge, the drums are fat, the guitar is like filling up the rhythm, like everything, like the organ, like whatever the band's happen, the vocals come in. And then like it's just really cool to put out a group sound, and then to have moments where everything is really just gelled and the band's playing completely together. You do have some moments, and they're rare, but you can feel this just like lift, this kind of like your body gets light, everything feels like you're just like floating a little bit, and you're like, oh cool, like we hit something good.
No, I love it, and it's the music you play is just it's so complex, and the fact that you can get there to that spiritual place, is truly inspiring, because I would think you would have to, be thinking a lot. And I also wanted to ask you too, because you have such a wide range of music you draw inspiration from. Who would you want to play with? Any people who have no longer, who are, passed away? If you could play with any number of musicians who aren't here anymore, if you could time travel, who would be in your band, you think?
Yeah, my brain's flying right now. um I don't know, I haven't really thought about that too much.
Well, obviously you're on drums, unless you want another drummer.
Yeah, I've been playing some other instruments, but not as focused as drums. um let's see.
Yeah, let's just say guitar, bass, keyboard, that sort of thing.
Yeah, my favorite band, and you might remember this, but my favorite band is a band my dad really loves. So I grew up kind of listening to them, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And
Yeah.
the keyboard player, Keith Emerson, is no longer with us, and I think that he would have been an awesome musician to have jammed with, just because I grew up listening to him. He's such a legend in my house and stuff like that, and um, had really interesting sounds and kind of like ahead of his time. So yeah, let's go Keith Emerson on keys, on bass. Don't know. I almost want to say Jocko, just to throw it out there, just because he's such a legend.
He's the best. The
Um,
king.
yeah, that would have been really, really cool. And then guitar. I don't think I deserve to play with this guitar player, but I'll throw out the name Sean Lane, who is a really incredible guitar player who played with a drummer I really really love named Jeff Sipe. He's one of my favorite kind of modern drummers. Plays in a lot of different styles, but they had a fusion trio that was blanking on the bass player's name at the moment, but it was just a bass drums guitar trio. Highly recommend anything with Sean Lane and Jeff Sipe.
I have to look into this now, because I haven't heard that name before, but I'll
You would dig
definitely.
him. You would dig him. Yeah, he's like a kind of fusion shredder, dude.
I'm also kind of curious too that I consider to be a success story, based on the band that you're playing with and the number of years, and are able to make a living. What does success mean to you at this point in your life? Is it, I mean, because some people would say success is the number of followers or the streams or playing in certain venue. What does success mean to Jeff, man?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw I rolled my eyes there, and I appreciate that compliment. I do also try to there's a lot of things in this world that you know like put a numerical value on success and stuff or a monetary value on success. But for me, I feel successful just that I am able to play music, and have a life I'm happy with. I have a wife and a dog, and we get to enjoy some time together and have some fun in life. And you know, I'm able to pay the bills enough to get by and do some nice things here and there.
And just doing what you love.
Yeah, and doing what I love. But really, it's a treat. And the music that I play with Consider the Source is it's not for everyone, but we've found an audience that supports us, and we're really really grateful and really lucky that we're able to play what is kind of you know to almost everyone kind of weird and oddball music, that like shouldn't make sense on paper, like instrumental music that has a lot of improv and weird sounds and
I mean,
styles all mixed
it
together.
is wild. I will say that, having seen the band before, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. So we're really grateful every time that we just have if we have, we play shows and people come and see us, and we're really grateful that people pay money to get tickets and come spend their time with us, and we're able to put out an album every couple of years and keep making new music and continue to do it. It's really a treat. And um yeah, we just consider I consider myself successful just to be able to continue to play drums and make a living doing it, and to teach and spread that love and joy of the instrument of music.
Beautiful. Well, Jeff, where can people find you on social media and all that good stuff?
Best spots are probably at Jeff Mann, little hashtag at Jeff Mann drums. Instagram, I'm on Facebook. If anyone wants to throw me an email about anything, jeffmandrums at gmail. Yeah, and check out where I'm playing with Consider the Source. We're playing our next show is in Asbury Park, New Jersey, this Friday at a spot called the Wonder Bar. And then I also have a new project where I'm playing electronic drums. I'm looping those and playing some bass and some keys. It's a Ween tribute. It's called Learn to Ween. And that's kind of more around Philly for now, and the Jersey area. We're starting to spread out a little bit. But yeah, those are the two main musical projects I'm involved with.
Jeff, man, you are an inspiration. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abe. Great to talk to you, man. Appreciate it all.